If I go back in time 20 years, because I was with British Telecom, because I was running a research laboratory, I had all the technologies like 3D TV, Google Glass, virtual reality, Oculus Rift I already had, all of that stuff I had. And I set up to do a number of things. I worked with the military. We were doing in-flight testing, we were doing virtual gunnery ranges, we were doing all kinds of things. But with the medical profession, the obvious thing, I wanted to do some virtual surgery. So if you go to a teaching hospital, you find the surgeon operating on a body, and up in the gallery, sometimes with binoculars, are all the students looking down into the body, watching the operation. I thought, I can fix this, because with a couple of cameras and a microphone, I can have all the students wearing VR headsets, and they stood in the surgeon's head as he does the operation and describes what he's doing. What a wonderful teaching tool. How brilliant. But best of all, I could overcome the first hour problem. The first hour problem is you have a car accident. The first hour dictates whether you live or die. You do not want the surgeon back in the hospital. You want him in the ambulance with you. So we took the Ipswich Ambulance Service and we put a camera and a screen onto the paramedic, and the surgeon would be with the paramedic at the scene of a car accident. And this is 20 years ago. And so there was one where we had someone who was crushed and they were choking to death. And it meant that the paramedic had to do surgery in real time. A piece of surgery he never did before. But he got a world-class surgeon in his head, sat with him. And I've actually got this on film. I know it's quite dramatic, and it worked. And then we actually did a transatlantic operation, and we did an operation to Ireland. We did a knee operation. We did endoscopy, all kinds of things. Brilliant. The people who were the most excited about this, the US military. And the reason, they didn't want to put their bits and their bullets in the same space. They didn't want expensive surgeons where the bullets were. They wanted paramedics. And so they were very engaged with it. What happened to that technology? It went on the shelf. And why? Why? Because of people. It doesn't matter what you invent, it doesn't matter what you do. The ultimate arbiter are people. And if a profession like surgeons don't embrace it and use it, it's not going to happen. And I came to the conclusion we really had to wait for a whole raft of surgeons to die, to be replaced by youngsters who would pick up the technology because they were steeped in technology and they were willing to try anything. And I think the time for that technology is now, because we have a lot of new young surgeons. They're late 30s. They've been in technology. They've had more or less had computers all their lives, and they're good for anything. And I think that's one way of magnifying the power of the surgeon. And so what I actually see out there is you go to a teaching hospital, you'll find an old surgeon who's doing 3 operations a day, and you'll see a new surgeon who's doing the same operation and they're doing 10 operations a day, but the old guy will not learn from the young guy. This is a way around that problem. And it's a way of teaching people in the second and the third world. It's a way of transporting, if you like, teleporting capability anywhere. And when I started this, I did not start it with a view to surgery. I started this with a view to repairing high-tech equipment like jet engines. Well, I feel incredibly frustrated that it wouldn't go first time. But as a technologist years ago, I recognised that my enthusiasm doesn't necessarily mean it's a good idea. The acceptance of the human race sometimes takes a while, but I also feel, I don't think the word is smug, I feel kind of pleased that my team and I came up with that, we did it, and it's sat there good to go.